Okay, everyone, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. And it is a good afternoon from Central Australia, Alice Springs. This is Blind Magic in Alice Springs, and I am your host, Murray Stewart. You know, I'm a pragmatist when it comes to politicians. Yeah, I'm not all in on the theory that they're all bad. I'm not. That's obviously an extremely cynical view, but it's also a very narrow-minded view of politics and a politician. I have been at the pointy end of politics, including being an advisor to a minister here in the Northern Territory. And I can guarantee you that they work extremely hard and they work extremely long and unsociable hours. Of course, that doesn't mean that we should lay off criticism where criticism is due. That's the legacy that the Anzacs have definitely left us, the ability to have freedom of speech. There's little Liam, Heather's here, my support worker, and Liam, her young son, is with us today, and that makes me feel good because that is life. Having a little young fella around, that is life. Absolutely it is. So getting back to where I was in terms of politicians, yes, they do work long and unsociable hours, and yes, we do and are able to criticise them because of the legacy that the Anzacs have created for us. The ability to talk freely and openly about politics, our politicians, and the decisions we like and the decisions we don't like. No problem. But I've got to say, 10 points to Scott Morrisson today, the former Prime Minister of Australia. 10 points to him for talking about his struggles with mental health during his time as Prime Minister. I think sometimes we forget in the thrust and parry of political debate that politicians are just like us. Yes, they are. They have families. They have arms, legs, organs, a brain, the whole lot, just like we do. Yes, they're human, in other words. Believe it or not, our politicians are human, just like us. And humans are prone to make mistakes, of course they do. During the COVID era, I remember thinking to myself when Scott Morrisson was doing many of his interviews and many of his press conferences, I remember thinking to myself, wow, what a time to be a Prime Minister of a country. How stressful it must be. And so he confirmed in a book that he's written that yes, that was an extremely tough time for him. And he also said that when he was embroiled in the conflict, if you like, with China over the COVID-19 virus, that he did seek mental health assistance. And, you know, one can only imagine what stress a Prime Minister would be under such circumstances, when he needs to shoulder the responsibility of guiding a whole country and all of its people through such a crisis. I must confess that I didn't agree with a lot of what happened during that time. No, I didn't. I didn't agree with the vaccines and have probably grown to dislike the whole idea of the vaccine, particularly considering what happened to me with my massive heart attack. But you know what? That's not to say that I could have done a better job. No, I'm not saying that for one moment. the job would have been extremely difficult for any leader of any state and or country. Yes, it would have. And for any of us to say that they could have done a better job is totally disingenuous and not reasonable. Because unless you're in that position, you really remain totally untested. And I still believe, even though I believe or don't believe in a lot of the decisions that were made at the time, I still believe we are so lucky to be in this country, in Australia. I believe the safety net that was provided at that time with the, if you like, replacement wage system that was brought about through the Scott Morrisson government was nothing short of incredible. Nothing short of incredible. How lucky we were compared to many others in the world. But yeah, there were some decisions that in hindsight, I wish and hope upon hope that we never ever revisit again, given the same scenario. But it's not lost on me. It's absolutely not lost on me how difficult the challenge would have been to be in Scott Morrison's position. And the fact that he's come out and been honest about his mental health status at the time, and also when he was embroiled in a conflict with China, it just goes to show that none of us, absolutely none of us are immune from a mental health crisis given a set of circumstances. I've been there. I'm sure some of you have been there. And by Scott Morrisson be going public, it means we can further shine a light on this very, very important issue. Because I can tell you now, when someone is in crisis in this country, we do fall short of being able to provide that emergency assistance that might be needed to prevent a tragedy. And that's where the system needs to take a very, very good hard look at itself. And if Scott Morrison's public utterances can help in that way, then why not? I don't know why it is, but we seem to take more notice of a pop star type celebrity than we do a politician. We tend to write off politicians. Already I've heard people criticising Scott Morrisson today. Are you serious that you want to play politics with this? Okay, you may never have voted for him, but come on. For someone to come out and be so honest about something that is so private, I think he deserves 10 points. I do. I absolutely do. And you never know when you might find yourself in exactly the same position, and maybe because of Scott Morrisson going public today, there may be a real chance now for us not only to shine a light on this circumstance, but also through his experiences, maybe we can fix something else that needs fixing to ensure that if you need help, or if I need help, or your mother, your father, your daughter, your son, or anyone close to you needs help, that whatever needs to be fixed can be fixed and they can get that help. So come on, let's not play politics with this. No, let's not do this. Let's get behind anyone like Scott Morrisson, who reveals himself, is honest, and let's give them 10 points for that, and support or whatever ever arises from his honesty. have that debate at home. Read the excerpts from the book maybe. Listen openly to what he is saying about his own experience, and don't bring politics into it. No, don't bring politics into it. It devalues the big story. It does. It devalues the really big story that we need to keep talking about, and more importantly, that we need to do something about. Oh, we do. 100% we do. Okay, folks, that's my say. You can comment on my podcast anytime you wish. Yeah, please respond. And this has been Murray Stewart, and this has been a Blind Magic Communications production, episode 879.